what's up, people out in the Lorcana world or the TCG world or whatever world you're watching this from. Um, Store Champ season is almost over, and a weird question sort of got asked to me. Uh, One of the Store Champs I did, which we managed to finish at the top eight, but it still really wasn't a good day, even if you walked away with one of the promo cards. And it was another player that I remember seeing at Continentals in Europe, so they're also very decorated and done well for themselves. And they said sort of, how do you deal with a loss, or how do you deal with like a bad streak of just losing? And the game in the background is it wasn't a game that actually went that bad for me. It's just to put some content on in the background of competing. This was at the Content Creator Store Champs, but um, no, the player did just say sort of when you've had a bad run, like or maybe it's the start of the store champs and you've had quite a few bad games. You haven't managed to like the first weekend you haven't managed to even break a top eight, or you haven't managed to win them out, or you haven't managed to achieve the goal that you've sort of set yourself. And like, how do you bounce back from that? Because for a lot of us, like we put a lot of hard effort and work into learning the meta, learning the game, learning what's best to play, what's not great to play. And just like, how do you overcome that feeling? Like, a lot of people feel like they're not good enough, or they're underperforming, and it can just weigh you down. And no, that's completely um, uh, emotions that I have when I play. I always have this feeling when like I'll do really well at an event, like I'll win the content creator store champs, or I'll do the day two at something that's really big and really important to me, and then I will come back home like my first round at my locals or playing online in a testing sim, I'll lose and my instantly just go, oh, my sort of entire emotions are, oh, I'm terrible at this game. I'm so bad. I don't know what I'm doing. Oh, all of this, like, you get this massive imposter syndrome as well of like, oh, I shouldn't, I just lucked my way into winning that thing that I did on the weekend. I'm just not that good. I don't really hold up, and that's just sort of the array of emotions that I go through. Especially after like being at a really high of just winning quite a lot and then dropping down to a real low of like, and it's generally for me personally, and I know a few other players as well because I've chatted to them about this. It's generally like, yeah, you'll lose online on a sim, or you'll play against someone at locals. Like, not saying that the person at locals, their ability to play, that it could just be literally anyone. You play against them and they beat you, and if it's a 2-0, if it's a 1-2, you might not feel that bad. But if it's a 2-0 win, you just kind of crash completely. And I think I've always had this thing where whenever I've won big on a weekend, I tend to go to locals and lose my first round. And I had that, like, I remember after Germany, I day two'd. I'd had quite a good weekend. Like, I'd proven what I wanted. I'd achieved the goal I wanted to in my deck, which was day two with a Kiwi deck in two-game format. And then I went to play, it's a different card game, but I went to play One Piece on the Monday. And I said to my mate, it always happens. I always lose round one, terrible matchup for the deck, and I lost it, and it was like, oh yeah, and you get that like back to reality check, and I'll admit I've got a lot better like handling that personally, because yeah, I have this ability where I can just crush into, oh, all of that was luck, you've lucked away and you have no skill, and you just sort of beat yourself down quite a bit. So I think there is quite a skill to learning how to handle it, especially when we play TCGs and we work with like just so many different variables. Like, you can play the right deck for the day and still lose, and the right and the wrong deck for the day can go on and win the entire event. Like, and that's not sometimes it's nothing to do with you. It's nothing to do with the player who was on the quote unquote wrong deck for the day. It's just could be all the variables. It could be minor misplays, minor draws, minor die rolls, minor matchups. It could be all these little things that kind of pile up and give us the result of the day. And I think that's what a lot of people love about TCGs, because everyone in a sense has a bit more of a chance, because you could have the world's best Churner Dogs player in the room, and they could play against like one of their worst matchups like Green Steel, and the player they're playing Green Steel could be, might not have achieved much in their past and might not have too much experience or whatever, but they can still go on to win that matchup and take out these top level players. I mean, I've had that with like, I think Kiwi Birds recently got quite a lot of bad matchup into Ruby Amethyst, and I think pretty much anyone, Ruby Amethyst Shark, sorry, pretty much anyone of any skill level could technically beat me. I'm not saying I'm the mastermind of Kiwi, but I guess it's like the deck I've played the most on, and I feel I'm the most confident on. But generally, the Ruby Amethyst Shark matchup, if I play into that, I just lose, because everything they have has evasion and it has rush, and I just take all my characters out. So for me personally, when I lose to that matchup, I need to do things like when I go into the event, I have to be prepared, right? So what are my good matchups? What are the ones I can win? And what are the ones I don't want to have like an emotional knock on if I get stomped 2-0 in them? And yeah, you have to think about that and think, I'm taking that risk in when I play the event. I might not win the event because I might not do well at the event because if I see this matchup quite a lot, I could end up losing. And then sometimes as well, you might even lose the matchups that you would expect to win, and it's how to feel about that. And you could just, like I say, it's all TCGs. You could have terrible hands, you could have terrible draws, whatever it is. You could have the losing the die roll the entire day. That happens quite commonly. And yeah, go back to the sort of the original question is how to handle that when it happens. And what I try and do is try and manage it. Remember that you're playing a card game, especially one like this where it's got Disney characters on. So it's for most of us, it's not that deep. It shouldn't really be that deep. If you put a lot of effort in, I can completely understand why you might get a little bit upset with yourself if you're not performing that well when you've been practicing and you put all this time to read guides or watch videos and watch content. That completely makes all sense to me. I'm exactly the same. If I put that much effort in, it's the same as if I was doing a sport. If I was exercising and doing everything every day to run a marathon, and I just end up doing terrible, or on a football team, or whatever it is. It's the same thing. Same thing for all of us. The only difference is we're playing with Disney cards. But remember, there's more to life. It's not that deep to lose at a card game. Try and get the fun out of the day, especially. I had one instance when we played at Store Champs and we were all rocketing down to the top eight, below the tables that could make top eight. And, there was just younger players around, and it was just the best time to kind of say, we're all having fun here. We're all playing this card game. We all took our chances. We need to celebrate the people who are making it to the top cut, maybe enjoy their games if we can stick around and watch them. If not, message them afterwards and say well done and everything like that, and say how would it go, and just say it wasn't your day on that day, and not feel sort of very upset about that, and just take it as it is. And then when it becomes your day, hopefully they will celebrate with you and have a good time. And that's just sort of how a community works, really. We're all in it together, all helping each other. But yeah, when you sort of take those losses, especially I had. So I'll keep talking about that one particular Soul Champs. Actually, I brought Kiwi, and we played into some Ruby Amethyst Sharks, and there was very good players. I think they played it very well. But we kind of just learned that day it was a deck that hadn't really played too much into. When I was doing events, the deck hadn't got too much traction, or I had just managed to dodge it. And then we played into it, and we learned that it was a really bad matchup. So what I did was instead of going away from it, just getting really sad, really upset, going, oh, I'm terrible at this game, I can't win anything. I went, right, so what are the aspects of me? Why did I lose that game? And then you first start and think, did I draw bad? Did I mulligan bad? Did I do anything wrong there? And you try and analyze it a bit. A lot of the times, yeah, it could be that you missed your character on two that you need to play on two. I mean, like for example, if you're playing Kiwi and you miss your one and your two drop, you're probably going to lose those games, and you can just accept that as a fact. And then you have to go, so right, what was my opponent doing that made it so I couldn't have a winning game here? And what we just learnt with RP Shark is that a lot of their stuff has evasion, a lot of their stuff has rush, so we can't interact with it, and they can usually trade quite efficiently with everything. So we came away, we learnt that it's quite a bad matchup, and then if the next time I'm to basically get stomped out of an event by that deck, or those particular cards in that deck, I cannot be that upset about it. I've learned something, I've understood it, and I can take that away from me. And then, if that's still not really getting to you, if you're still kind of being quite upset when you are losing quite badly and you've had like quite a bad lose streak, that happens to everyone. We sometimes you go on a really long win streak and then you go on loads of streaks where you just keep missing cut, you don't finish in the finals, or you're not getting the same exact results that you were getting. That just happens to like pretty much everyone. There are some players who are very, very consistent, but overall, it's majority of the time we just you have a good run and then you have to step back a bit and you have to work for a little bit and take your losses and not get too upset about it. But if you are still getting upset about it, I think it's basically a good thing to just talk to your friends about it and say like, hey, we keep playing Lorcana every week and I'm just actually getting quite upset with the game because of these results. And they might be able to talk to you about it and they might be able to relate as well and go, yeah, no, I get a bit upset with that, but this is what I do. And they might be able to have a little chat with you, which is always great. And then you might also have like, just the basics of maybe you just want to have a week off league. I do that quite a lot. You get to a point when you play where, say, if you were to pick a deck up like Steel Song and you would try and master it to the peak that you can master it to, and you've learned every line, every interaction, every play, every matchup. And at this point, the only thing that's going to affect your matches are the variants of the game. If your opponent gets the Ursula on 2, Ursula on 3, and then they Pete lock you, that's not you playing bad. That's just they drew a bunch of Ursulas and Pete locked you out of the game. And you have to sort of understand that. And you might just have a spree of games where that happens and it just hits you and it feels awful. That I know that's happened to me with many different decks and many different TCGs. So that might just be a thing of, hey, go do something else for a bit. Like maybe don't go to League that week. Maybe just chill out, watch a movie or whatever. Or I tend to like, if I still want to be in like the Lorcana sphere, but I don't want to play Lorcana, I tend to just watch a lot of streams, watch a lot of content instead because, yeah, it's no negative to me who wins or loses in these games on the streams, and I still get to be a part of it, and I still get to, take in some knowledge about what's happening in these games. But overall, taking a break is always just a great thing. If at the end of the day, you're not able to get in the mindset of analyzing what went wrong or like, like, appreciating like the variance that happens in card games and whatever, just try and relax, chill out for a little bit. But yeah, overall, like the things with card games is I can't remember who said it. I think it might have been DeCandio I saw once say it, but the reason why we play this and not chess is because we actually enjoy all these little variables, which let's be honest, we all do. We all really enjoy watching a top deck be prepared, or a Mufasa popping off and getting like a Tremaine, or Diablo Shift doing something crazy. Not everyone enjoys that, but a lot of us do. Getting that insane opening hand of like Diablo move Cove. People really enjoy those moments, but with those come very bad variables where you won't get those plays, and it's going to be really bad for you, and you're going to have a rough time. So you have to kind of roll the punches and understand that. I think, you could be the best still song player in the world, like I say, and you could still end up losing the entire day and not making cut and not even performing very well. Um, you know, Going 0-3, the only thing you can really do is like if you were to lose 3 games and not even win a game for the entire day, the best thing you can do is try and understand like, why did that happen? And it might just generally be things out of your control. But yeah, always the best advice I think is to take a step back, analyze, look at what's happened throughout the day, and then if that's not helping, step back a little bit further from Lorcana because yeah, I think it's that thing that you get in like video games as well. I think they call it tilting. When you're just like massively upset with what's happening, you can't keep winning, and then you get in your head, you start making bad plays, you start making bad lines, and then you get even more upset. So that's completely understandable if you could get into that mindset. I've been in there many times, and there's things as well like personally that I could say uh, happens with me. Like right now, I managed to win both the content creator store champs back to back. I'm pretty sure I'm going to lose the next one. I've just been very fortunate and very lucky in the way the days have ran out. But I lose the next one, and that will probably take a big hit on me, and I have to just understand like, oh, okay, we didn't win that one, but we'll run two and we've done well, rather than just getting into this massive like mental decline that a lot of people and myself sort of can get into when they trying to like tackle loss in a card game. So yeah, just what I'd always say is sort of look at the variables for the day, maybe check out why you lost, maybe after you've cooled down a little bit and you've taken on the loss and processed it. And then if that's all needed, like just take a step back from the entire game for like a few days or so and enjoy other people's success as well and watch how they're playing. You can always learn something new from watching a good player, I think. And also just yeah, in general, that's just a good rule in life, isn't it? But yeah, I feel like I'm just gonna keep repeating my points, but please, if even actually if you sort of feel like you need to reach out to anyone as well, that's always good because yeah, it is a card game, and I understand we should just be treating it as such, but I'm the one who that could easily affect my sort of mental state and like how I'm gonna approach the rest of my days. Maybe I'm getting upset because I'm losing at Lorcana and I'm gonna take that out on something else, or like I'm just gonna be grumpy at something else, which shouldn't be the case. So if you ever feel that, just like do tell someone in the Lorcana like sphere, and I'm pretty sure they will understand that more so than telling someone who doesn't play card games, hey, I'm upset because I keep losing and I really want to be good at Steel Song or whatever. I keep using Steel Song as an example. But yeah, just sort of all my little like pointers on like handling loss. Always just take it one step at a time and like take breathers, analyze, and just really think about what's really happening in these scenarios. And remember, at the end of the day, we do this all for fun. But it's very understandable if you dedicate a lot of your time and effort to this game and you're not getting results that you would expect to be getting.